Good morning. On the island of Tasmania, the worst massacre in Australian history is finally over. At least 34 people were killed and 4 others critically wounded when a 29-year-old gunman with a history of mental problems opened fire in a popular tourist area. The carnage came to an end only this morning after the gunman caught fire following a 12-hour standoff with police. He's alive and in custody today, Monday, April the 29th, 1996.
From NBC News, this is Today with Bryant Gumbel and Katie Couric, live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
And good morning. Welcome to Today on this Monday morning. It seems only a month goes by these days before we have to report on a massacre of this sort. We had Scotland last month, and now this one coming from Australia. This one's terrible.
Really terrible. It must have been so frightening for all those tourists who were gathered, because apparently he came up with a surfboard and just started chatting with them, and then boom.
Right, he just opened fire methodically, just walked around gunning them down, then took some others hostage. We're going to move to the news desk in just a little bit. We'll get more from Matt Lauer on that. And then following that, we're going to go west there to talk with the lawyer, public defender, who's been assigned to help defend a 6-year-old boy against charges of attempted murder. Katie?
Do you like Stephen King?
Some of his stuff.
He's going to be here in our second half hour. His latest is Terror on the Installment Plan. That's not the name of his book. That's the way he's publishing them. He's publishing 6 of these little paperbacks, 1 a month. And they're supposed to be quite good, and we'll be talking to him about it and even taking some questions from our kiosk.
Author Terry McMillan's going to be here, too. She has a new one out following on the heels of Waiting to Exhale.
I rented that this weekend, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
And?
I thought it was good.
Oh. And we're also going to be in a special 2-part conversation with Madonna, interview done in Budapest on the set of the musical Evita, the screen version. Let's go to the news desk. Get the Morning Star with Matt Lauer. Matt, good morning.
Brian and Katie, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. In Australia, after a day of terror and death, a grim investigation continues today. A 29-year-old man is in custody, blamed for the deaths of nearly 3 dozen people. It happened on the island of Tasmania. That's off the southern coast of Australia. The backdrop was the resort community of Port Arthur. Details now from Rod Stephen of Australia's Channel 7.
The ruins of this guest house are all that remain of the gunman's final act of violence. He allegedly lit the blaze that engulfed his 3 hostages before he surrendered to police. Suffering from severe burns, he was taken by ambulance to Hobart Hospital. The 29-year-old man walked into one of Australia's earliest settlements on Sunday and began firing indiscriminately at dozens of men, women and children.
We did the gunshots, live action here at Port Arthur.
Are there police here?
Apparently there are police here.
The phone with it.
Karen Jones and Philip Wilburn survived to tell their story.
Could you hear the gunfire?
It was just like a cannon going off. We thought it was all part of the show.
The massacre at a major tourist attraction has shocked the nation. It had been a killing spree unparalleled in modern Australian history. Prime Minister John Howard has expressed his condolences to the relatives of the victims.
I would like to go to Tasmania later this week to convey directly the concerns of the federal government.
So far, the police can't explain why the blonde, surfy-looking man embarked on his mission of death.
It's not clear what his motivation was, or his motive. That's a matter that the court will determine, the coronial inquest and any other proceedings that come as a result of this.
The gunman remains in Hobart Hospital, where many of his victims are being treated. Rod Stephen for NBC News, Sydney, Australia.
In other news, authorities in Maryland are searching this morning for former CIA Director William Colby. A canoe Colby had been using turned up empty and capsized near his home in southern Maryland. The 76-year-old Colby was head of the spy agency from 1973 to 1976 during the administrations of Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford. It will be several days at least before America finds out about President Clinton's Whitewater testimony. He gave that testimony on Sunday on videotape and behind closed doors. More now from NBC's Jim Miklaszewski.
President Clinton limbered up for his out-of-court appearance with a jog, then settled in at the White House for 4.5 hours of videotape testimony. The president's a defense witness in the trial of Arkansas Governor Jim Guy Tucker and James and Susan McDougal. President Clinton has denied charges by convicted felon and former banker David Hale that he pressured Hale to make an illegal loan to the McDougals. McDougal attended Sunday's taping and made it sound like the president denied it again, this time under oath.
David Hale is a liar and a thief and a con artist, and I would imagine if you stopped him on the street, the president would probably agree with that conclusion.
In a related development, Newsweek magazine reports that Hillary Rodham Clinton's fingerprints were found on Whitewater-related billing records that were missing for 2 years, but suddenly turned up in the White House. Administration officials claimed she could have handled the documents during the campaign 4 years ago. It's unclear, however, whether investigators have been able to determine exactly when Mrs. Clinton last handled the papers. President Clinton does not want his videotape testimony released publicly because political enemies could use it on the upcoming campaign. The tape itself should be played in open court in about a week. Jim Miklaszewski, NBC News, the White House.
And in Florida today, President Clinton launches another new offensive in the nation's war on drug abuse. Aides say the new strategy will emphasize preventing drug use among young people. Overall, drug use has decreased over the last 15 years, but in the 1990s, marijuana use among young people is up. In Montana today, more talks in the long standoff between authorities and the anti-government Freeman organization. Former Green Beret Colonel Bo Greit spent 7 hours talking with the Freeman on Sunday. Greit says the Freeman continue to insist the FBI and other federal agencies have no authority over them. In dry, windy New Mexico, a wildfire is burning dangerously close to the Los Alamos National Laboratory. That is where the atomic bomb was developed and where radioactive and explosive materials are now stored. The fire has been advancing at the rate of about 1.5 miles per hour, driven by high winds.
Weather's been a big problem, so we got everybody's watching the weather. The winds have just been really a lot of problems for us.
Officials say the fire started with a campfire abandoned without first being put out. And it's 7:06. That's a look at the news. Time to go back over now to Bryant, Katie, and Al.
All right, Matt, thanks so very much. Appreciate it. Let's turn our attention to our weather here. We had a nice weekend, I understand, but we're going to be wet for the next couple of days?
Yes, we are, and the winds that firefighter talking about, Santa Ana winds, are going to be blowing all throughout the southwest on into Southern California.
They're not getting any relief then?
No, they're not, and temperatures are bone dry with very low humidity, temperatures 80s and 90s. But as Bryant mentioned, here in the east, we are looking at quite a bit of wet weather, flash flood watches and warnings from Illinois all the way up into New England. As we take a look, show you your today map, you can see that we've got a flood watch from Evansville, Indiana, through Cleveland, on into Albany, New York. 2 to 3 inches of rain, possible they could use some of that rain out west. That's what's going on around the country. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods. Expect a high of 60 degrees here in New York City. We're looking for showers today, showers down in Washington, and 74. 96 degrees in Los Angeles, 94 as you take a look. Also 59 in Seattle, a high of 83 in Hotlanta, 86 down in Miami Beach, and we're looking for 59 in Cleveland, 46 in Chicago. It's 7:08 now. Here's Brian.
All right, Al, thanks very much. On Close Up this morning, the age of reason. A 6-year-old Richmond, California boy is still in custody this morning, accused of severely beating a month-old baby 1 week ago. He may yet be charged with attempted murder. The prosecutor is saying that the boy knew right from wrong and simply chose to do the wrong thing. Public Defender Leslie Bialik is the child's newly appointed lawyer. She's in San Francisco. Miss Bialik, good morning.
Good morning, Brian.
I understand that you met your client for the first time on Friday. Your impressions, what's he like?
Well, basically, he's just a little tiny child. He looks more like about a 3-year-old or 4-year-old child than a 6-year-old child. And, you know, it's hard to know. I only met him for a few minutes for the first time on Friday. And he's just a real cute little kid. And that's all I can really say about him at this time. I don't know that much else about him.
Do you think he fully understands the extent of the trouble he's in?
Oh, I doubt it seriously. Even the probation officer, when he first interviewed the child, mentioned in his report that he didn't seem to understand anything that was going on, even after it was explained to him.
Has your client yet had a psychological evaluation?
He's in the process of being examined by psychologists and psychiatrists. We're looking for another placement for him, as he is housed in juvenile hall right now with teenagers. It's a little frightening.
What do you think of the characterization of your client offered by the prosecutor, Harold Jewett, that he's a troubled boy who made threats against the baby, against the family, and knew right from wrong?
Well, you know, that's the prosecutor's job, really, to portray this person as something less than a human being. The prosecutor also had information that he didn't choose to tell the press, and that information was that this child goes to school regularly. He likes going to school. The principal reports that he is somewhat of a discipline problem in that he can't seem to sit still. He's always fidgeting. He can't pay attention. He has a real problem following directions. He's never displayed any mean tendencies at all in school. All his acting out, the principal characterizes as being boy stuff.
So you denied threats against the Bermudez family or against the unidentified witness?
Well, I can't really discuss the facts of the case at this time. I only have reports from the police, and those are third and fourth-hand information, mostly coming from 6- and 9-year-old witnesses. So I think we need to do a little more investigation on that.
Given the nature of the charges, observers have suggested your client may himself have been abused. What's your take on the boy's relationship with his mother and his grandmother who has helped raise him?
Well, his mother works in a daycare center. The father died some time ago, so the mother works to support her family. His grandparents also live in the home and support him. This child has been diagnosed with learning disabilities, hearing disabilities, and he just recently started a special education program. Now, this child is only in kindergarten, so the family clearly has seen that there have been some problems with the child. They have tried to deal with these problems as well as they could. Clearly, he needs more care than his family is capable of giving him at this time. But you can't blame this entirely on lack of caring from the family or lack of supervision. There are lots of other factors going on here.
One final note, the mere act of what he did would suggest that your client needs therapy and psychological help of some sort. To your mind, does he also deserve punishment even if he did not fully understand what he was doing?
Well, I don't see how you could punish a 6-year-old child. My goodness, this is a child who needs love, supervision. He has very special needs, exceptional needs. And what do? We shouldn't lock him up and punish him. The district attorney would like to see this child be totally restricted, with no freedom of movement, locked up for who knows how long. This is not what you do to a 6-year-old child. You put this child in a loving, caring, therapeutic environment with lots of supervision and lots of guidance and help to deal with the problems that he has. You don't punish him.
Leslie Bialik, thank you very much. I hope we'll talk again.
You're welcome, Brian.
All righty. Katie?
Thanks, Brian. The worst massacre in Australian history ended this morning with more than 30 dead. Anne Fulwood is the late-night news host for Australia's Channel 7. She joins us now from Sydney. Miss Fulwood, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Katie.
I imagine that the country is in a state of shock right now. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think anywhere in the world with an event like this happening would be in a state of shock, and more especially Tasmania is a very small state of Australia. You probably know there are about 7 or 8 states in Australia, and Tasmania is a very quiet and peaceful community where tourists were going to Port Arthur, the scene of this massacre, and the nation's shocked by the fact that this has just happened in such a sleepy, quiet hollow. You know, you think of these massacres as... Yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say, tell us a little more about Port Arthur, where this actually took place. It's described as an international tourist destination, but many Australians go there as well?
Yes, indeed, and in fact most of the people who were slaughtered at this scene were Australians. It is, as you can see on the map there, Port Arthur is a convict settlement. The irony of this is that this was about 150 years ago, a penal colony. Australia was settled as a convict settlement, you might remember in your history, but this Port Arthur convict settlement was about the worst, and the worst criminals were shipped from England to Port Arthur, the penal colony. So it has this history about it anyway, and now this has happened. So people go to reflect on what was a terrible and traumatic history, and now this.
Really ironic. Tell us what you know about this 29-year-old man.
Well, a loner. These things one can never rationalise. He has lived in the suburbs of Hobart, which is the capital of the state of Tasmania, not far. It's about 100 kilometres from Port Arthur. Lived alone. A painter, a guy who's a witness or who knew this man, talked on a couple of news stories that we had earlier today about how this fellow was a very unusual character. This man did some painting work at his house and said he mumbled things and felt very at risk and so on, and other people, friends of his, said that over the years he's been a loner and they felt that they had to look after him. He's also intellectually disabled.
All right.
So there's more news to come out on it, Katie.
Anne Fulwood in Sydney. Anne, thank you very, very much. Coming
Thank
up on
you.
7:15 now, here's Brian.
All right, Katie. More than 1 million African-American men fought in World War II. Yet to this day, that remains the only American war from the Civil War to Vietnam in which not even one black soldier received the nation's highest military award, the Medal of Honor. Thankfully, as NBC's Joe Johns reports, that now may be about to change.
Italy, 1945. As part of a black U.S. Army infantry unit, Lieutenant Vernon Baker of Wyoming fought the bloodiest battle of his life. He single-handedly killed 9 enemy soldiers and destroyed 3 German machine gun nests.
We all had something to prove, but nobody would believe it. Nobody would believe anything that happened out in combat.
Baker received the Distinguished Service Cross for his courage in battle, but was denied the highest award, the Medal of Honor. Now, the Pentagon has reviewed Baker's case and 6 other black veterans of World War II, concluding that they were denied proper honors. Of the 7 soldiers, only Baker is still alive.
They're supposedly putting me up on a pedestal and make me an example of what the black soldier did, what the black soldier could do. But I think it's a little late.
According to a team of military historians who made recommendations to the Pentagon, Baker is certainly deserving.
It was a series of successive acts that this man did that makes his case compelling.
The reasons Baker and other black soldiers were denied the Medal of Honor apparently had a lot more to do with the color of their skin than the level of their valor. NBC News has obtained formerly top-secret documents, now declassified, that show opinions some white officers held toward black soldiers. According to one, they do not have the character, stamina, or will to sustain an attack or defend themselves. Another wrote that blacks, under the influence of alcohol, become sufficiently savage to murder, rape, and rob.
It used to make me very, very angry. Sometimes it used to make me blindly angry, but over the years, you mellow.
But not all white officers who commanded black troops were guilty of discrimination. Some fought hard to gain this recognition for their men. 76-year-old David Williams campaigned for Sergeant Reuben Rivers of Oklahoma to posthumously receive the Medal of Honor.
I owe it. It's correct. It's just. Why shouldn't I fight for it?
Captain Williams commanded a black tank unit in France in late 1944. Rivers, who had already won the Silver Star, was leading a charge when he suffered a severe leg wound. Refusing morphine for the pain, he fought on for 3 more days, leading his unit into a German stronghold before being killed. Another member of the unit, Floyd Dade, remembers it well.
I had a tank gun on the right, I believe, about 50 yards from Rivers that he didn't see. I think that was the one that got him. It was lit up like a 4th of July, the way the traces and everything was coming in.
Williams recommended Rivers for the Medal of Honor while still on the battlefield.
All he wanted to do was fight.
Oklahoma Senator James Inhofe also pushed to get Rivers the medal. He says there's only one reason why it was denied.
Because he's black.
Secretary of the Army Togo West said this Medal of Honor review shows the country is now 50 years older and wiser.
This review of the awards policy in World War II, like other reviews, is for assuring ourselves and our soldiers of our basic fairness. Fairness in the way we treat them, fairness in the way we grade them, and yes, fairness in the way we make our decisions on the nation's highest award.
Most black soldiers performed service roles. Only a small percentage engaged in combat. Some say that makes it harder to find candidates for the medal. But the records of soldiers like Vernon Baker and Reuben Rivers speak for themselves. For today, Joe Johns, NBC News, The Pentagon.
The time limit for awarding the Medal of Honor for action in World War II has expired, so it will take an act of Congress to waive it and allow the men to receive the honors that are due them. 7:19. Katie?
Thanks, Bryant. Last Friday, 2 members of a militia group were arrested in Georgia on charges of conspiracy and possession of unregistered explosive devices. Initial reports said it involved a plot to blow up Olympic sites. That proved to be false, but the fact that it was on everyone's mind exposed the real concern that this summer's Atlanta Olympics could be a target for terrorism. Jeff Beatty is a security expert with experience in 3 Olympic Games, including this summer. Jeff, good morning.
Good morning.
How concerned should we be?
Well, I think that there's reason for a general level of concern when you have this kind of activity occurring within 100 days and within 100 miles of the site of the Olympics.
There's no specific threat yet, which you say makes the situation even more problematic.
Exactly. While there's not a specific threat identified yet, when we have something like what happened this past Friday pop up, we have to put it in context, and that is that our government's record is about 1 in 3 in being able to prevent and detect such incidents. If you just do the math, that means there may be a couple of other incidents out there yet that we have not identified specifically.
I know that you have numbers that indicate that there will be 2 successful terrorist attacks if things aren't changed. How do you come up with those numbers?
Well, it's several different formulas, and it's not quite as dramatic. It's rather dry to come up with it, but it's based on the number of groups that are involved. I mean, we have only almost 200 militia-type groups in the United States, so it's looking at the total number of domestic and international groups who may choose the Olympic time frame to make their point.
Why hasn't more been done, A, and B, what should be done in your estimation?
I think we can learn a lot from Barcelona. They took a holistic approach towards this. They dedicated about 40% of the resources towards the protection of the Olympic venues, and that's what people need to understand. The Olympics, when we talk about the Olympics, there are 50 athletic sites in an Olympic village. Then Barcelona took about 40% of the security resources and put them in protection of what we call the open sector. Major hotels, places where people congregate, places where visitors spend most of their time, not at the games. And then about 20% in protection of infrastructure. Why we haven't done that yet is because we have very recent and limited experience with terrorism, but I think now's the time to adopt Barcelona's model.
We should point out the Olympic Committee or the folks in Atlanta feel very confident in their security measures thus far.
Absolutely. They are going to do a wonderful job. I mean, they've got a budget in the tens of millions of dollars and over 10,000 security personnel to protect just these 50 sites.
But you're concerned with the area outside the 50 sites.
Exactly.
Okay.
Incidents like Friday show us that the weapons they were talking about would be, in fact, most effective in that open sector.
All right, Jeff Beatty. Thanks very much, Jeff.
You're welcome.
We'll be back in a moment, but first, this is Today on NBC.
They'll be left in the dark.
Back now at 26 past the hour. We were talking about Katie's guest earlier from Australia. And I was interested in one thing when she was talking about what this guy was and who had said what about him. Because I was reading the article this morning. I was surprised to learn, good law actually, that under Australia's very strict laws, the media is not allowed to report anything about his background until the trial is underway. Mm-hmm. So I was surprised to hear her sitting there talking about he used to be this, and one person said this about him, etc.
Maybe because it's to the States and not being broadcast in Australia.
I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I think it's a great law.
About taking photos of people too, I think.
Yeah, we're seen in Australia.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we're on Channel 7.
You're right.
Early in the morning. I was just curious whether or not that didn't.
So you're wondering if she's going to get in trouble?
Well, no. I mean, I don't know how the law is enforced or what applies and what doesn't. I mein, she must know the guidelines.
Yeah.
And yet she seemed to have no problem saying what she did to you. And yet what I read is pretty clear. I mean, it said under Australia's strict guidelines, the media may not report any information about his background until his trial is underway.
You know, there are a lot of countries with stricter laws in the United States. For example,
Canada's got them too.
It's got a very strict law about that. And remember when there was some murder trial that they had to black out the stations in New York that could be received by Canadians and
yeah,
like in Buffalo.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I was just surprised to hear her doing that. I didn't think she could.
Supposedly it was just an incredibly grisly scene. I mean, you know, a lot of children and with their, it's terrible.
Yeah, not good. And the toll may rise too, because there were 4 critically injured.
One person who's
There's
missing in that cottage.
One person still missing, right? Presumed dead.
Yeah, there were 3 hostages in the cottage when he set it on fire, and they found 2 bodies. So.
Man. Hey, yesterday afternoon, did a college fair.
Oh, how
where are you going to go?
With Bradley. I mean, you know what? It is so much more difficult now than it was when we were... I don't know. Did you feel a terrible amount of pressure when you were coming out of high school?
Yes.
Did you really?
I did. Because I'm the youngest
I think
of 4
I was too
kids.
dumb to feel any pressure. I mean, I figure I'll get accepted to one of these.
Yeah. What about you?
No, not a whole lot of pressure. Got accepted to one place early, and that was it.
Yeah, see you around, right? I mean, now it's, you know, all the college recruiters are all set up at a table, and they've got their little school banner in front, and you walk on up and you talk to them, you get the pamphlets and everything else. And, you know, I mean, it was just very bizarre. We all had our little questions. June got to one floor, I got another one, Bradley on another one. We all had the same questions. We'd all ask the same questions, take the same notes, we'd come home and compare notes. It was kind of fun.
I bet it was.
Actually.
Did anything appeal?
Well, there's a lot of them that are appealing,
Yeah.
but I mean, you know, you start with this huge mass and you start narrowing down based upon, you know, not only what you like, but also the reality of can you get in.
Brad?
Do you think the questions you asked were slightly different than the questions Bradley asked?
No.
Really?
No. We all
Same
agreed
thing?
to ask the same ones. I
Which
know
were?
what you're thinking I asked.
No,
but
well, which were? What?
No, we all agreed to ask the same things.
About?
Ethnic diversity,
What
you
the
know,
chicks were
special
like.
support.
Babe quotient.
Yeah, babe quotient. Chicks were like, huh, you guys are terrible. We're back in just a moment. 29 past 6, station break.